The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Welcome back, folks. It's time for Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond. We also talk about the good things that people do. Whether you come from Rhode Island, Massachusetts, or Connecticut, people do care. They do share their time, their talent, their ideas, their resources, and in many cases, their funds to make dreams real. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. Yes, you can hear us on AM 630 or FM 99.7. And today we express our appreciation once again to ECAT. They call them Eastern Community Access Television. They happen to be televising this show that they can share with folks on community television. But we thank them very much for doing that. We are a Cumulus radio station. We reach above and beyond to continue to talk about good news. My special guest in the studio today is a gentleman by the name of Ken Wood. Ken is well known in southeastern Massachusetts. He is going to talk to us today about the Eastern Food Pantry and how important it is, folks out there that are listening or maybe watching it on community television, that don't be afraid to share your time and talent, your ideas, maybe your funds to kind of make dreams real for folks out there, because food is important to everybody. That's how we survive. And it's certainly nice to know that on this show we've talked for 15 years about good things that happen and good things that people do. So I'm hoping that you remember to listen to what Ken Wood has to say about the food pantry. And of course, we did share a sign that's in the studio. They're located at 604 Foundry Street in southeastern Massachusetts, and it's called the Eastern Food Pantry. And if you'd like to donate, certainly you can do so. If you need to have some questions answered, that telephone number is 781-333-6284. Again, I repeat that, 781-333-6284. And ask for Ken Wood. He's joining us today. Ken, thank you for joining us here on WPRO.
Yeah, glad to be with you, Dave. I used to be, we did a couple of shows down there in Rhode Island with you a couple of times, so it's been an honor to be able to do this.
And of course, there's lots of history in the town of Easton. They're going to be celebrating in 2025 the 300th anniversary celebration as a community. Can you imagine that? 1725 to 2025, and it's almost here. And Ken, we're going to save that for later to talk about. But right now, let's talk about the Eastern Food Pantry. How did you and your late wife get involved in the food pantry?
You know, I was a part-time recreation director, and I get a phone call one day from the clerk's office, and they said, could you take this call? There was a person in need of food and clothing because they had a fire in their home. So what happened is we did a little collection and got it started, and then my wife said, let's start a food pantry if it's necessary. So that's when we did it, and that's in May in 1978. And so it's been, as of last year, May, it was 45 years.
I noticed, Ken, since 1978, you've put on some weight. I'm only kidding, of course. The fact that you work for a food pantry. We'd like to give a thank you and shout out to Brett Ferruccio, who handles the TV studio. He's been a good local producer for us. and of course, Brett Ferruccio, the executive producer at WPRO. The food pantry needs lots of volunteers, and you need to serve lots of people. Do you have enough food?
Well, right now we're actually buying food because the food isn't coming in fast enough in the collection spots. We have roughly 125, 130 families a week, and during the holidays we get 150 to 170 families. But on the average week, we have around 125 to 130 families, somewhere in that vicinity. So we have a lot of large families now. About a third of our people are all large families because of the way the economy is with food out there. And so we've been able to help them out, but we've not able to get a lot of food from the Boston Food Bank as we were able to get before, because they're running out because of the need all over the country. And then we're right now, Langwater Farm supplies us with all the organic grown vegetables, but that's not in full steam yet until about another month. So we're buying from Restaurant Supply Depot and BJ's to pick up the extra things that we're not able to get. But there's a lot of stuff that just isn't out there for us to get to. We want to thank Shaw's and Roach Brothers for all of the pastries and stuff they give us every week, and the 2 collection spots that they have for us.
Perfect example of folks out there that care and share. A lot of the local businesses and those people that make financial contributions, very much appreciated. I know that the food pantry is open on Mondays only. And of course, people that want to come to the food pantry, do they have to have specific qualifications, or it's just folks that feel there's a need and ask?
Well, a lot of the people that they're recommended to us by different organizations and businesses and through the schools, Nurses Association, housing, all of that. We get a lot of the calls from them. We service a lot of veterans, and we have a van that goes out and services in the homes about 25 to 30 families every week. Council on Aging bus trucks buses people over from the Council on Aging facilities, and then we also still are in line like we were during the epidemic outside, because if we tried to move it inside, we wouldn't get out of the food pantry at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd be there at 6 o'clock with everybody coming in and out. So we service everybody outdoors and put it in the trunk of their car, and you'll see when you go by there on Mondays, you'll see the cars lined up all the way to 106.
Well, we certainly want to thank you and all of your volunteers, Ken Wood, for stepping up to do this kind of a deed, because people need food. And of course, the people that want to help out have that opportunity. And it's not just in Eastern Massachusetts. There are food pantries scattered throughout southern New England, our listening area. And it shows that people care and they do share. And I think it's so important. And there are some folks that may have difficulty showing up to pick up the food. Maybe they're a little on the embarrassed side, but don't be embarrassed. There are people who care, that want to do what they can to help. And I know that your volunteers are on it to be able to spend their time. How often do they do this, Ken? Serve the food?
Oh, every Monday. We do it every Monday. We're only closed for 5 or 6 holidays a year. We're open all the rest of the holidays.
Well, that's terrific. Are there any people that are key to that food pantry working? Did you want to mention names, or do you have that fear of missing someone?
That I would have fear of missing someone, but we have a lot of people working from the Lions Club, from our churches, from the community church, which where we have the food pantry. We want to thank them because all they don't charge us for all the space we have there. All we do is pay them for the electricity and any needs that they need to help them out with plowing snow or something like that. So we're very fortunate to have the church really as one of our partners.
Can people, individuals in the community donate food?
Yes, they can donate food to any of they do collect it at the town hall.
But that has to be canned food, or what can they
canned, non-perishable. You don't want to put non-perishable ones in there. Roach Brothers and Shaws have the biggest collection spots. And then we have a van that's parked outside of the back of the church, and the back door is open 24/7. So if anybody wants to make donations in there, because we empty that every day after it's got filled up. So we're trying to keep it, convenient for anybody to get to the food to us. But right now, we could use checks of money to help us buy some of the food, because we're spending a lot of money on food every week.
You also have a website, Ken, that's www.eastonfoodpantry. Is that, and it's .org. And again, I'll repeat that, www.eastonfoodpantry.org. If you'd like to check the website out, maybe some of the questions you might have certainly would be available. And we can also thank ECAT, because they do what they can to help the pantry out. I think this show today, them televising it, gives us an opportunity to talk about a food pantry located in Easton, Mass. And if it can take place here, there are other towns and cities that certainly want to take care of their residents. Now, do you deal just with residents, Ken Wood, or out-of-towners as well?
No, just the town of Easton, yeah. What you have to do, you have to prove that you're a resident of the town of Easton, and you have to show a paper that you've either got a telephone bill with the address on it. We don't accept licenses. We used to at one time, but if anybody moves out of town, they could still come over and we won't know they've moved. So we don't accept a license anymore. But you have to show a bill or a mortgage or a rental thing, whatever. And then we'll know we live in the town of Easton.
This would be a great opportunity, Ken, to thank the church for providing the facility, their facility every Monday, so that you could do this. And plus, they're available to respond. So they certainly have become a terrific partner.
Yeah, they certainly have. So, and they've been very, very good to us. We were on a trial basis for a year, and then they finally came to us and said, "You're here permanent." So we're set up there, and we've got everything in place. We have a whole fleet of trucks and all the equipment outside, so to manage the situation where it's so large.
Now, if they wish out there, the listening audience, to donate some time, especially if you live in the Easton community, who would they contact, and would they use that same number, 781-333-6284?
Yeah, that's what they'd use to call that phone number, and my secretary would take the information down. Right now, we have a running list that she has, and if all of a sudden somebody goes on vacation or somebody gets sick, then she'll take that list and goes down through them until she finds somebody that can fill in for that time. But we have about 25 or 30 people that are on that list already waiting. And some of them waited for a year before we get the call. So we're in pretty good shape. But the biggest thing is to help us either financially or drop off food at one of the spots. That's a big thing right now.
Now, the volunteers that you have, and I know there are probably many, they certainly, do they get some training in terms of being prepared to do what they have to do?
Yeah, we sit down with them, and when they come in to help us out, we run through the whole process and how the operation goes. We have the people that handle all the stuff outside and the distribution. We have roughly 30 to 35 people every Monday that has to help us out. between the truck drivers that are out there delivering and everything else. So it's a big operation.
We're talking with Ken Wood, and he represents the Easton Food Pantry, and lots of volunteers and lots of folks donating to a great cause. And we're going to talk more about that. Right now, we're going to take a short break, Ken. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. And I'll tell you, we appreciate ECAT participating in this broadcast as well. Hurry back.
In 2023, Easton is a tight-knit community of 25,000 people. But with the hustle and bustle of modern life, it's easy to forget our past. A time when Easton's population was 6,000.
Everybody knew who everybody was.
And there was respect.
There was respect for everyone.
When kids enjoyed great freedom and independence.
Everybody was poor at today's standards, but we all were in the same boat and we enjoyed life.
So join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, as I explore what makes Easton so very special with some of its lifetime residents.
I think Easton has so much to offer, and if you're living in a community, you have to know it.
Watch Growing Up in Easton Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Friday at 9 p.m. See you then.
There's a storm.
Join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, to explore the town of Easton and its interesting, engaging, ordinary, and extraordinary people, and meet a smorgasbord of guests, including artists, authors, musicians, business owners, community organizations, clergy, local leaders, etc., etc., etc. Community Forum at 3 p.m. on Thursdays and 1:30 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then.
Hi, I'm Jen from Fantasy Crafts. Turn your average household items into fun for the whole family. Let your imagination run wild. It was my decision. You be quiet over there. Fantasy Crafts playing Monday at 3 p.m., Wednesday at 1 p.m., only at ECAT.
Welcome back to the second segment of Service Matters. And of course, we've been doing this show for about 15 years, and I used to say hundreds of people have joined us. Now it's really thousands of people. For 15 years, thousands and thousands of guests. Sometimes we've had 4 or 5. Sometimes we've gone out and broadcasted live at different events. And had hundreds of people try to make their way through the line to join us on the air. But it's been very gratifying to me, especially when you see what's going on around the world. The world's gotten a little crazy. We certainly hope that everyone out there can become focused and think positive and think about doing good things. It's hard sometimes to listen to what's going on out there through the media because they're only, talking about things that are happening, and some things are critical. So we save this spot once a week to do this show called Service Matters. And not only that, but good service matters. I think it's important to talk about the good things, whether it's patting an Eagle Scout on the back, or a police officer who does something fantastic, or maybe a firefighter who saves a life, a teacher who steps up to do good things, to educate young people. The list goes on. And we'll chat about some of those good things during the broadcast and telecast. But I did want to certainly salute the Boston Celtics. Here we have the Celtics once again. They have qualified for the finals, beating a team that I thought shot well, the Pacers. And they come out on top, and right now they're waiting for the winner of the Dallas-Milwaukee game They have a series going on, and Dallas is out in front of the series 3-1. That could end shortly. All along, I have picked the Celtics to be in the finals this year, along with Dallas, and my dream might come true. And I think that the Celtics got the ingredients to go all the way. So for you folks, I know lots of people in Easton like basketball, and in New England. And of course, hats off to the Boston Celtics. They got lots of history in terms of winning championships. So we'll see what happens. And we expect that in the next week, both these teams will be clashing in the finals. So Ken Wood, you've been serving as a volunteer coordinator of the Easton Food Pantry. Ken Wood is well known in the Easton area. He has his name on the Yardley Wood rink, the skating area, which is something that lots of people use during the skating months. But that's a tribute to you, Ken, for all the service you have provided in the town. And of course, we always remember your wife coming up with that idea and you following through with it. And I think a lot of people in the town of Easton over the years have bounced things off you, and they've become a reality. And I think that's why the town really appreciates what you have done as a community person that always enjoyed giving back to the community. You were a part-time recreation director, but you work full-time at it. And the fact is that you were always willing to share your time and your talent. Let me ask you a question. How does it like, you've been here a long time in the town of Easton. What's it like to live in a community like Easton, Massachusetts?
Well, Easton, when I moved to town here, there was only about 9,000 people. I guess it's around 24,000, something like that, in the town. It's always been a caring town. That's why I wanted to move here. And they've been very supportive of our food pantry and all of those things that I've done over the years. So, when I've ever needed help, the town's always supported me. So I've never had any problems with the town in regards to that aspect. But it's a very caring town, and they are willing to help all the people and all their residents to keep them in good shape.
If I can just add something to that, there's a tremendous sense of community here in the town of Easton. And it's a community that gives a priority to families. And I think that's important when people decide where they're going to live. They want to live in a community that has a good educational system for the young people. It's a community that does things together. We've got some tremendous department heads that live and work here in the town of Easton, and they give a priority to the residents and provide the services certainly that are needed. And I get that experience and that feeling working on a committee in town that's planning the tricentennial celebration. The town of Easton will be celebrating their 300th anniversary in the year 2025. It began all back in 1725, so there's lots of history in the town. And when you see all these buildings in the community, you have to say to yourself, wow, there's lots of history. And that name Ames stands out, no doubt about it. Maybe you could say something about some of that history with all these buildings. They're truly amazing.
Well, when I was growing up, I used to come over here to Easton quite a bit, over where Stonehill College is there, the big estate up on the hill. And then the cement company was across the street from where the little mall is there. And I used to watch the Setners and Piper Cubs fly in and out into the Ames airport there. They had 2 hangars across the field, and used to spend a lot of time. Ameses were very good, and they've always been supportive of all their employees, and I did a lot of work for them over the years when I was electrician. They've supported the Eastern Food Pantry and the whole community over the years from way back when.
It's amazing. I visited all the sites, and I was especially impressed with the Governor Ames estate, which is right across from the TV studio. And of course, it provides some open space, has a pond next to it. And of course, they just put up a new facility that I think is going to be tremendous. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of those major events that are going to take place during the year 2025 in the town of Easton. And there may be some events that folks not living in the community might want to come and join. We'll be right back here on ECAT and WPRO Radio after these important messages.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Sick of all the new shows and movies dominating pop culture? Well, have no fear, because Old Time Movie and Old Time TV are here, where we like to add our own flair.
There's a truck out front, and if we could just get the keys...
Man, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Those are flesh-eating zombies. They upended our car, okay? We're lucky to be alive, especially Joe. I had to pull him out of the trunk, for crying out loud.
It's been a long day.
Also, make sure to check out the Radiocast, our accompanying podcast where we talk about what we've watched.
There was a lot of moments of just Mac on the raft going down the river, just internal monologuing over and over and over.
We show the classics and nothing but the classics. Well, except for the weird ones. Check us out on all our channels as well as our YouTube.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, residents of Easton, friends and neighbors.
This is Bill Ames,
Co-host with Priscilla Almquist-Olsen of the Film Connection. On ECAT now for over 20 years. We're very proud of that.
and we like to interview guests from Easton who have been involved in the film business.
Actors, producers. We're very fortunate today to have a producer of a film.
Welcome back to Service Matters. We've been in existence with this radio show for about 15 years. And today we have the honor of having our radio show televised. My guest is Ken Wood from Easton, Massachusetts. He's the leader of the pack when it comes to the Easton Food Pantry, and we appreciate what he has done to get that started. And we also express our appreciation to all the volunteers that step up to do what they can to help with the food pantry. And let's not forget all the people that donate food and donate funds to make it work. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the buildings on the town of Easton. We mentioned the Governor Ames estate. But here in the town of Easton, you also have Memorial Hall. And of course, named after Oak Ames, I should say that the Governor Oliver Ames estate, it's not Oak Ames. I want to make sure I get that corrected. They also have the Ames Free Library. They got Queeset House. The list goes on and on.
The Gatehouse.
And these buildings are going to be there certainly for a lifetime, no doubt about it. Right now we're talking about the Town of Easton's 300th anniversary coming up shortly. And behind me, it's going to be a banner. And I just wanted to point out to you as you look at this banner, the clock that you see in the middle, it's a two-sided vinyl banner. And the clock, of course, is the logo for the town anniversary celebration. Can you imagine 300 years, 1725 to 2025? And on the bottom of the banner is going to be the sponsor of each banner. These banners are going to be two-sided. We're going to have about 90 banners that are going to be on the parade route, scattered on every other wooden pole. On Center Street, they'll be on Main Street that'll circle around Memorial Hall. And again, it's Oak Ames Memorial Hall, and it's Governor Oliver Ames, I should say estate. And of course, you'll get to see these facilities and be able to enjoy the community. It's time for the town of Easton to celebrate. We got an awful lot to celebrate when you think of the number of years. We thank the Easton Select Board for establishing a committee to, since 2023, to kind of plan and prepare for this giant celebration. And Ken, you've been a long-time resident of the town. You are the volunteer coordinator for the committee that has been put together to plan and prepare. The committee not only has 10 people appointed by the select board, but another 25 or 30 that have responsibilities like yourself. And when I think about the final schedule was finally voted on at the last meeting this past week, I just wanted to mention the celebration will kick off with a giant event that'll take place at Stonehill College. That event will be during the hours of 1 to 5 p.m. It'll be scheduled on January 4th. We thank Amanda Hurley and Anne Marie for putting this together with their volunteers. Anne Marie's last name is Taylor. And of course, a lot of work goes into this. The committee right now is discussing the possibility of a mini fireworks display, but that certainly has to be approved by Stonehill College on that particular day. The next event, of course, is going to be the Art and Cultural Festival. It'll start out at the Oak Ames Memorial Hall. It'll scatter to the Ames Free Library. It'll take place on April 26th. And then it'll move on to the Queesit facility. The Queesit House is what we call it. And of course, we thank the coordinators, Joan Lundgren, as well as Diane, our secretary, Lusati. And they're working hard with volunteers to plan and prepare. A lot of artists in town and a lot of people that enjoy seeing art work. So between the artist work as well as paintings, food, music, it should be a great event. And it'll be indoors and outdoors. So folks, make sure you remember that date of April 26th. The next event will be on Flag Day in 2025. And that date, of course, will be on June 14th. And we have a number of events that will take place on that day. On June 14th, we not only have a chance to salute the red, white, and blue, Ken, the American flag, but we're going to be able to do some things like a town picnic where all families can come together at the Governor Ames estate. And that picnic will take place between 12 and 4. We also have an opportunity to listen to music, bring people in town together at that beautiful piece of property. And Ken, you know this because you're going to be chairing it. We're going to salute all the veterans in the town of Easton. That's going to be done at the town picnic. We're going to play some patriotic music. We're going to bring in the Commonwealth's largest flag. Takes about 40 people to hold it. And a great chance to say thank you to all the veterans who have served. Ken, you're a veteran, and I'm a veteran, and we're looking forward to making that happen. Any comment you'd like to make regarding bringing all the veterans together?
No, I think that's a good idea, Dave, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to be contacting the VFW and the American Legion, which I'm a member of, and we'll get back to them, and we'll get other veterans that aren't members of ours. We'll try to reach out and get as many veterans from the town of Easton that we can for this event, because I think it's going to be real good thing. A lot of times our veterans aren't recognized for all they've done.
Well, we thank the Tricentennial Committee under the leadership of the Select Board here in the town of Easton for suggesting that we have a salute to veterans on that Flag Day, a very appropriate day. The American flag will be viewed. We encourage everybody in town to put their American flags out. And of course, we also have a big fireworks display taking place on the evening of Flag Day, which is June 14th. It'll be at the high school facility. It'll be at the lower field on the sanded area. We're going to be shooting off a giant celebration. And we've already been touching base with American Thunder, the fireworks company from North Reading, Massachusetts. There'll be a band concert from 7 to 9 p.m. The parade will, I should say, not the parade, the fireworks will go off at 9 p.m. We'll take another short break and come back for our final segment as we finish up with the other 4 events that'll take place during 2025. Hurry back.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Words. After a 3-year hiatus, join me, John Holgerson, and
Priscilla Almquist Olson,
as we interview poets and musicians. Could you give the audience a little summary of your background as a child?
When I turned 7 or so, we were car bombed. That stuck out.
And have them share their love of words.
Sometimes I wonder, do you ever think of me?
A thin broth of moonlight caught in the trees spreads across the garden brush, so one side of every stick shimmers while the other sides melt into one another, a mass grave of cherry, pear, and pine.
For the Love of Words at 7 p.m. on Thursdays.
There's a storm.
Join me, Priscilla Almquist Olson, to explore the town of Easton and its interesting, engaging, ordinary, and extraordinary people, and meet a smorgasbord of guests, including artists, authors, musicians, business owners, community organizations, clergy, local leaders, etc., etc., etc. Community Forum at 3 p.m. on Thursdays and 1:30 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Sick of all the new shows and movies dominating pop culture? Well, have no fear, because Old Time Movie and Old Time TV are here, where we like to add our own flair.
There's a truck out front, and if we could just get the keys.
Man, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Those are flesh-eating zombies. They upended our car, okay? We're lucky to be alive, especially Joe. I had to pull him out of the trunk, for crying out loud.
It's been a long day.
Also, make sure to check out the Radiocast, our accompanying podcast where we talk about what we've watched.
There was a lot of moments of just Mac on the raft going down the river, just internal monologuing over and over and over.
We show the classics and nothing but the classics. Well, except for the weird ones. Check us out on all our channels as well as our YouTube.
Welcome back to the final segment of Service Matters. I'm Dave Clifton here along with Ken Wood. Ken is from the town of Easton, Massachusetts. He's been a volunteer's volunteer, no doubt about it, between the Easton Food Pantry and all the things he's done. In the town over the years, it's mind-boggling how he was able to find the time to do all that stuff. But right now we're talking about the town of Easton's 300th anniversary. We mentioned 4 events. There are a total of 8, we call them signature events that'll take place on the town of Easton. During the year 2025, it's a year-round celebration. And of course, all the events have been purposely scattered throughout the year. They're not all piled all in one month or one day. It's going to be a year-round celebration. The next event that certainly will be popular is the, I call it a square jam, but it's really a block party on the main street where we're going to bring everybody in town together to celebrate, to eat, to enjoy the music. And we thank Dan and Jamie Anderson. They're going to be coordinating that event, and it's going to take place on September 6th. Yes, we're going to wait till people get back to school, and that'll be a great event. I failed to mention the giant parade that'll take place. Originally, it was planned to take place on July 4th, Ken. We moved it to July 12th.
Yep.
And that's going to free people's vacation schedules so that it doesn't interfere. They'll be able to be at the parade. And of course, it's a lot easier for the parade committee to come up with bands and floats and all that stuff, because for years, a lot of these folks have been going to other towns for their celebrations. So the giant parade will go down Center Street. Parade lineup is at 9. The parade begins at 10 a.m. and it'll probably go till 12 noon. And we're going to have light refreshments inside Memorial Hall for all the parade marchers. And that'll be after the parade is over. We thank Corey Ahonen for coordinating with his committee the plans for a giant parade here in the town of Easton to celebrate its 300th anniversary. And of course, there's about 10 volunteers right now that's involved. We're going to be looking for another 30 volunteers to really make it happen, and especially on the day of the parade in terms of lining up everybody in the bands. The parade's going to start at the monument at the front end of
Depot and
Center Street. And they'll line up certainly on Depot Street. And of course, for the folks that can't walk a long way, we're going to have an opening at some point along the parade route. And we're also going to have a review stand for some dignitaries to salute the colors. And that's going to be in front of DPW. DPW may not be there at that site at that time, but we're still going to be having the review stand at that location. So we hope to have a flyby, Ken. You're on that committee. You're lining up some volunteers for the chair, Corey. And I know that we hope to get folks to ring the church bells from the different parishes and congregations. So it's going to be a giant parade, and we're looking forward to it. We also have another major event coming up on October 11th. and that's going to be a town-wide bonfire. And that bonfire is going to be located also at a school site. It'll be at Oliver Ames High School. It's going to be at the lower field. It's going to involve a band concert. There'll be food trucks there. And it'll be a great opportunity to sit and look at the fire. It'll be from 6 to 9 p.m. And we're expecting a huge crowd to be at that. It's a chance to look at the fire and to think about the history of the town of Easton. The final get-together for this 300th anniversary celebration will be the gala. That's going to take place at Stonehill College at the athletic facility. It's going to begin at 6 p.m. We're inviting the whole town to go to this. It's going to be not only involved dancing and a sit-down dinner. Tickets will go on sale early before we hit the year 2025. Reservations, it's going to be a black tie event. We want everybody to be there. If somebody refuses to wear a tuxedo, meet Ken Wood at the side door. I'm only kidding, but the fact is that we want everybody to be there. And we can't thank, I should say, ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television, for not only covering all of our meetings as we plan and prepare, but they're going to cover all the events as well. And go ahead, Ken, you had something to say about the parade, I think.
Yeah, well, on the parade, the parade we're going to be looking for volunteers, like you said, for the parade, and I'm going to be working on the list to get the volunteers. If anybody's interested in the town that'd like to get involved in any of our activities, please give me a call. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. It's 508-930-5102.
Why don't you repeat that again, Ken?
Yeah, it's my cell is 508-930-5102.
I wanted to mention before we sign off, we're getting close to the end of our show. I did want to say that there are going to be other activities that take place that'll be on a major calendar for the year 2025. It's events not necessarily sponsored by the Tricentennial Committee, but there are events that are planned. Over at Langwater, we're going to have a Family Fun Day, and that, of course, is going to take place in October of 2025. There's going to be an antique auto show at Borderland State Park, and we thank the Friends of Borderland and their leader, Dale Thistle, who was coordinating that car show. They do that on an annual basis. They hope they can do 300 vehicles. That would be absolutely terrific. We know that Neil Levine over at McGuire's is thinking about a block party. We're encouraging folks in the community to do their own block party on their own street to make it work. We thank Diane Lasardi for putting together a cookbook that's finished. And we have an anniversary book, and we're hoping to give the gift to town after all is said and done. A big thank you out there and a shout out to all of the donors to this celebration. We're still looking for volunteers. We're still looking for people to contribute. That's going to wrap it up for our show today. My guest, Ken Wood, I thank you very much for all the things you've done over the years and for all the things you plan to do for our anniversary celebration. A shout out to Brett Ferruccio back at the radio studio in Providence. And Adam Carrero, we thank you for joining us as our producer here in the TV studio. We say go forth to serve. Do it with a smile on your face. And if you're going to do something good to help someone out, do it with the dignity that it deserves. Folks, plan your schedule, mark on your calendar the year 2025, a giant celebration in the town of Easton, Massachusetts. Thank you for joining us.